Greetings, listeners. So happy to be talking with you all. This is Ana Rosa with the beautiful, amazing Ali Cortes, speaking to you from Que Madre en Bienestar CCC. Today we are missing Shevon Hoover, our lovely warrior mother representative, because she is out of town for the holidays. So we're hoping she's having a lot of fun. Today we want to talk about finding joy in unexpected places. And the reason why I thought of this theme that we're going to talk about is because unfortunately my mom had a very big health scare last week, which is why I wasn't able to be with you all on the last show. And so I was taking turns with my siblings to be with her at the hospital so that she was never by herself. And for me, hospitals are a very triggering place for a couple of reasons. One is I was in and out of the hospital a lot as a kid because I had severe asthma and also had a heart operation when I was 5 and had my tonsils taken out when I was 7. And also, I probably would say the most poignant reason why it's triggering for me is because it's the last place that I saw my firstborn baby girl alive, Adelita. And so, I was kind of dreading the experience to be in a hospital, and especially not to be in a hospital for that long. But because my mom wasn't getting better and she did have to be there the whole week, I got to kind of stop and reflect and just observe what that experience was like on a daily basis. And it just felt like there were so many amazing people that were giving such good care. And my mother to this day, says that she didn't think she was going to make it out of there, but the combination of being blessed by so many amazing caregivers, the nurses, the doctors, shout out to Kaiser. It was just a blessing that she had the insurance because she's a member of a union to be able to have that care. It was really beautiful. And then the combination of that with everyone's prayers, because I had everybody and their mama praying for her. I know Ali and Shevon said they were praying, so thank you so much for that. And also the people that I go to church with at Jesus Collective, shout out to y'all. And my friends, our families, familia in Mexico, so all over the place. And so the combination of that physical care and that spiritual and emotional care, I think, is what got her to be able to be released home. And so she's home with our family. We got to spend Christmas with her. And just that experience in the hospital was beautiful in a lot of ways, because I don't know about y'all, but being part of large families, well, specifically Mexican families, it can get a little dramatic sometimes because we are very loving and passionate people. So, we get into our little arguments here and there. So over the years, there would be some tensions between certain siblings, but I feel like us being there and really working as a team to support my mom really brought us together in a way that I don't know if anything else could have. And now I feel like super, super connected to each and every one of them. And just when I was at the hospital, I had a breakdown in front of the hospital. It was like one of the days where she was doing really badly. And this Black woman, who I don't know who she is, but she saw me crying and she came to me and she held my hand and she told me it's going to be okay. And just thinking of it was like making me tear up. But just hospitals are also beautiful places where, healing takes place. And there were Christmas carolers that I got to see in the elevator, and I got to take a selfie with them. So just, hospitals are difficult places to be because of the severe health risks that some of our community members and family members have, and are the reasons why they go there. But at the same time, there are such beautiful places of healing. And I just want to say how grateful I am that I got to be there long enough to see that again, and to have that place not just be like a triggering space for me. And I'm hopeful that you all who may have people in the hospital, that you're getting the same great care, and that you're able to also have loved ones that you can share your experiences with. Because we did have a social worker that came to the room, and she was like, hey, do you all have anyone that you can vent with? And this is a very hard experience. So, just knowing that you can rely on somebody, whether it's a family member or if for you family is not a healing space for you, a friend, a coworker that can be there for you, because the holidays can be very difficult, especially for those of us who have lost someone close to us. Um, but also just know that we're here for you, and we're really excited for any topics that you bring to us. And I don't know, Allie, do you have any thoughts about um, finding joy in unexpected places?
Oh, absolutely. I love that you brought up prayer, and I'm still sending my prayers to your mama. You're amazing, like glorious mom, because one, she gave, I love, if you're watching on the radio, let me describe this beautiful outfit that Anna has. It's this awesome sweater, and it has like, a bow, and I'm like, you are a regalo, and I always, when it comes to people's birthdays and like celebrations of that person, I always go back to like, the mom, it's like I like to thank her too. And it's like, gracias, for my friends. I was like, you brought a gift to my life, and how can I ever thank you for that? So like, when you told us what was going on with your mom, like inmediatamente, like I'm zoning in, being mindful, being present, and just sending all this like energy and like love and just like wishes of like healing and recovery. And I love that, Anna, you're really talking about something so powerful that, you know, um, when we ask for help, it can come in so many ways. And prayer, oh my gosh, not that it alleviates everything, but it just gives you like almost like a way to lean a little bit, like you're on edge, you're like, what's the next move? What's gonna happen? It's every corner of the moment, there's something unexpected that can happen. And that prayer is just like there's a little bit of like that cushion, like, okay, I got back up, like there's more to this. It's bigger than me. And that is so powerful, and to bring that into the hospital setting, is a blessing, to activate your network. And I love that, Anna. And I think that's what we're talking about here, really finding joys in unexpected places. Prayer, text messages, when someone with my dad, when he had the heart attack, it was like those text messages that just randomly would pop up and say, hey, thinking about you and your dad. And it's like, I can relate to that comfort, right? Like the carolers that you mentioned, the music, the like, we're here. And I feel like hospitals have gotten way better about making that whole experience, like bringing back humanity to that. And it's in presence, it's in music, it's in like pouring on love during those times. And so I love this theme so much, because like there's so many triggers out there, and I don't think they're going to be getting less and less. I think in the state that we are, like there's just going to be a lot more triggers around us. We've been impacted very much by the effects of the pandemic. We're all connected as human beings, so like experiencing all that loss during that time, whether you experienced it or not, like we're still connected. Like there's this energy that we're all like really vibrating, connecting to each other. So we felt that, we're really connected to what happened. And so to find the glimmers, in all of it, that's special. And to remind, as with storytelling, as you're sharing your experience, I'm like, that's right, Ali, like find your glimmers. Thank you, Anna, for sharing that, because that's right. Like we have naturally this implicit bias of like negative bias, right? It's like, what's wrong, and that's natural. But to expand and to make it more expansive, when we like bring in the glimmers and say like, oh, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, not to discount or to discredit or to devalue the suffering that we're going through. It's just to like expand and be like, and this is what's like the carolers, like I could just imagine just the ray of light, that was like, for that moment you connected to the music, you connected to what that holiday spirit, and they brought that to you and your family. That's special, very special.
Yeah, I ended up watching the Mundial, the World Cup, from her hospital room. And it just so happened that um, once she was off of the intubation, and we got to talk about the Mundial, we got to talk about the fact that she met Pele like the amazing soccer player in
Oh,
Guadalajara when she was very pregnant with my brother Enrique. And so, like, when else would have she told me that story if it wasn't for watching the Mundial in the hospital, you know? Because I guess
exactly.
people just forget about those things, even though it's like a major thing. And yeah, I'm like, so that's, maybe that's why my brother likes football so much. But they ended up building a Pele statue apparently in Guadalajara, so now I have to go find it.
Ah. I love that. I love that. Yeah, like I think for me, this theme brings that word of expansion, right? Like, let's expand on things. Let's branch out to like the past, the present, and the future, by finding, the joy in the unexpected. And sometimes we do have to find it, but sometimes we don't. We just have to be present and just, sit with the discomfort, sit with with the suffering of it, and then just be open to like, I'm open to lessons, I'm open to light, I'm open, just saying that, I'm open to it. um but it's miraculous. And like, I think, you know as we talk about that, like, I really do believe the universe talks to you. And the other day, I was just feeling it. I was kind of like really in a funky, like, just zone. And I told myself, I was like, I need to find myself. I need to find myself. And I kid you not, I'm walking through CVS. It's just a random aisle, like not even the aisles that I usually go to, right? Like just a random aisle, because I'm just walking around, just kind of thinking about that. But I'm always thinking like, I'm open to messaging, I'm open to communication, I'm open to wisdom that is something I can't see right now. Like I kind of anchor on like, I don't know. And but I'm open to learning in a way that's not picking up a book, like I'm learning. I want to connect with what's bigger than me here. And I was just looking down, and then there was this prayer card. So talking about prayer, right? And it
Wow.
was the image of Saint Anthony, which when I was little was, I grew up in Catholic school going, like that was, that's a whole story. And so, I remember someone said when I was little, I lost something really important to me. And they were like, oh, pray to Saint Anthony, you'll find it. And being skeptical, but at the same time open to it. And I think that's what I love about like children, right? They're like, okay, sure. They're more willing to try things and be open to things. And so like, I remember, and then I found it. I forget what it was. I think it was like an earring or something, but it was really precious. It was like, I just remember being like so devastated because I lost it, and just praying and praying and praying. And then I found it. So then I always felt like that special connection, even though like currently I don't go to church. I don't, like I'm more of like the universe and, more spiritual. Yet something about finding that and like a trace back to like, remember when you were like open, remember when you found it, and it was like your authenticity isn't gone. You're still
Mm.
here, through it all. And I found so much joy in that because I was feeling really overwhelmed and like kind of like like I said, like a funky. And so like to have that reminder of like, you don't you're here. Like you don't have to go look for it. Your authenticity is still here. You are still here. You don't have to go find. And that's the messaging I took. And I flipped it over and I even took a picture of the prayer. And yeah, it said a lot about like, miraculous, the world is miraculous and miracles do happen, and you will find what you need to find.
Yeah,
You don't have to exert so much energy out.
absolutely. Kind of when you were open to that message that you got from the owl feather when you were taking the test, right? Like it's another one of those examples. I love that. And you're talking about what I'm wearing, the regalo sweater. It's just a little cultural awareness piece that those of us who are Mexican or even from other Latin American countries, we continue to celebrate Christmas far beyond the 25th to El Dia de los Reyes Magos in the first week of January. So, but that regalo that you feel as far as my presence, I feel the exact same way about you. And that's one of the things of like, you don't know who you're going to meet in this life, but just the fact that I got to meet you and Shevon, and that you've both been just such a big gift for my life. I feel truly blessed by that. And I love that you're wearing your winter white. It looks like, you're ready to go to the snow. um, but just wanted to say thank you for being that regalito for me too. And I love you so much. And thank you for the prayers for my mom, because they truly did make a difference. And with that, I'm going to do station identification.
Yes,
You are
queen.
you are listening to KZAA 96.5 FM. And this is Que Madre and Bienestar CCC. Today we are missing our Shevon from Warrior Mother, but we are here with you, and we're hopeful that she'll be back next week with us. And we are talking about finding joy in unexpected places. So we talked about the hospital, with my mom's hospital stay. We talked about Ellie and like her friendship being a regalito and a huge amount of joy for me. And we're gonna go celebrate her birthday in January, so very excited about that. Yeah, God, what other joy have you been finding?
Oh my gosh. Well, girl, but way back at you, girl. Like talking about like the gifts and just the serendipity. I think I want to talk about serendipity because like you kind of have to believe in it, and you just, again, just being open to it. And I remember when you and I met and I was like, gosh, like you're just so amazing. And then like just how we, I think we're in a place also to reflect, right? It's like the past years and just like here we are recording our last episode of the year. And it's all developed, it was so organic and natural. And when you asked about being on the show, I was like, oh my gosh, what a dream come true. Absolutely. Right. And just like we've gotten to know each other so much more. And I think even in reflecting back, there can be so much joy in that. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to reflect back. But I think like if we like intentionally follow those glimmers, right? Like just being open and being like, okay, when I think about Ana, what comes up? Like I sense like that feeling of goddess power, joy, like, chingona, like there's just, and that, like there's something that does that to me at a molecular level, so I think finding joy in unexpected places, it can be even like reflecting in the past. It could be also going to the future, which is scary too, because you've heard me say, right, when we are in the past, we become depressed. When we're in the future, we become anxious. Well, yes, unless you're doing it intentionally, right? If you intentionally say like, okay, I'm going to think about a source of joy. And I'm like, okay, Ana, right? Shevon, that's going to lead me towards other things, right? Unless, and then to a future, like I love thinking about, like what are some possibilities? Because I tend to be like, oh, what I catastrophize. I'm so good at catastrophizing. It just
No.
happens. You do like, yeah, like it's been ingrained in me. And so like one of my practices is like, for every catastrophe, I have to produce a different vision. And that's a practice that I've been doing for quite a while now, because the catastrophizing was leading to a lot of like panic, to like immense anxiety, and it's debilitating. And it's really frustrating because it's like, oh, like I know I could reach out for more, but that really just like slows it down, shuts it off. So I think one of the things that I've learned to do intentionally is just like, okay, for every catastrophe, for everything that is a trigger, I have to design a different outcome in my mind. Which takes time, and it takes practice, and now I've gotten a little bit better. Still haven't mastered it because there's times where I still catastrophize a lot. But I think, sometimes thinking about my future and saying like, oh, like, for example, one of the things that my husband and I want, we're like, we want to have kids, and we've been actively trying. And so,
Hey,
sometimes, yeah, right. Y'all know what that means.
at least
So
having a lot of sex. Yay.
a lot of it, a lot. I'm just like, get in
Like, no
here.
wonder I can't come over anymore.
And we're trying, it's like, and we want to keep that like that serendipity, right? Like keeping the joy of it rather than being like, we got to time it and all that. So, so there's times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think this is going to happen. And then when I go there, I'm like, no, You stop that. Kind of like our last episode, like, no, 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 no. Okay. Yep. I stop right there. Okay. And you're going to produce a different vision. So I'll visualize myself like holding a baby,
Aw.
right? I'll visualize it. Um, and sometimes, it feels silly. Sometimes it feels silly and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But I stick with it. I don't let it evaporate. I don't let it, I don't shut it off myself. And same things with other things, where I'm like, oh, I really want this. And it's like, I just produce it. And it's not easy. And I share this because like, in the doing these new different ways of looking at life, you will find some joy. And it's unexpected. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I imagine myself doing that. Whoa. Like, like I one time imagined myself like kind of like I was like, I want to be like Oprah. And I just imagined myself giving, an interview like I was Oprah. And I was like, ooh, that was powerful. So go there. I encourage it. Go there, dream big. Don't shut down those like energies and juices of dreaming big. Like you can produce that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and here you are on a radio show, right? And this upcoming year, we're gonna start doing interviews again on a monthly basis. And we've got news for y'all listeners. We are gonna continue to do this radio show on KZAA because we love KZAA and our whole family here. And we are also gonna start a podcast. Where you can also check us out, where we might be cussing a little bit and maybe touching on a little bit racier topics. But that's something new that we're going to be doing in 2023. We already have our guests mapped out, and they're going to be really great guests. So I hope that you tune in. And I just love what you were saying with envisioning what you want and holding that baby, because I don't know how it's going to happen. Okay. But I had this dream and it was so weird because I had literally just been talking to somebody about how annoyed I was that I don't remember my dreams anymore. So in that moment, I told myself, like my body, my brain, my psyche, my consciousness, like I want to remember my dreams again. That same night, I had a super vivid dream of having a son, which I've been wanting, which I don't currently have. But it was so scary though, because it turned into a nightmare. Okay, bear with me. Where I was looking for my son. We were at some kind of college bookstore. So he was not a baby or a kid. He was like a teenager. And I think I was taking him on a college tour to see what college he wanted to go to. And so I couldn't find my son in this college bookstore and I was freaking out. And then my alarm went off. So I don't know like if I found my kid or not. But I'm just wondering like if that's a message that is like, okay, if you want a son, you're gonna find a way, or if you don't find a way, you're gonna lose that opportunity. So I'm like, kind of scared about it.
Yeah, the duality, right? Like the duality. But how that's such a beautiful message for all is like your body, your mind, your soul is going to do what you really want to do, right? So whatever you say is so important. Your words and you right there says like I want to remember my dreams because your dreams are important. They are really like manifesting your emotions, they're manifesting your dreams, your fears, your hopes, your joys, the suffering, they manifest, right? They get really creative. The things we filter ourselves a lot in dreams, they're not. And that's what's really beautiful about that. So you said it and like your body was like, and your mind was like, let's do it. Okay. Right. So the power of our words, what we say is so important. So, so important. As cliche as it sounds, it's like, like, oh, change that can't to a can. it just because like words are really important and the body, the soul is listening and is really going to give you what you're saying you want and however you're saying it. So that's a beautiful reminder, right? Like say it, keep saying what you really want, dream it, be it. And yes, chica, like there's a message, right? That's what you really want. This is the first time you're sharing this with me. So I'm like, let's make it, like let's pray on it. Let's send that beautiful vibe of like, fertility and growth and expansion.
Well, it might be an adoption too, because I'm totally open to that. Because I know there's so many kids out there who need a home that don't have one.
Mm.
Because I think my husband is pretty done with having biological kids, but did get him to say he's open to adoption, so it might be through adoption. So
Oh
we'll
my
see.
gosh. Ay, me pasas
We'll
la
see.
receta. What's up with I'm like, no, it has to be my That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. So the expansion, right? The growth and the joy. Like I could see you smiling. Everybody that's listening, Ana has this gorgeous smile going on as she's talking about the what she wants and what your desire, and bringing that, home to both of you. And Gloria, like that would be amazing.
I love how descriptive you are for our listeners because I do forget. Yes, we're not just on YouTube, we're also on the radio. And just so y'all know, Ellie is wearing this beautiful red lipstick and these shiny hoop earrings, and she has her nails done with beautiful red, fire engine red nail polish. So yes, she's styling.
Thank you. Thank you. Gorgeous. You're so sweet. Yes. Well, when we come to the show, it's like we want to bring in like you hear our words, you hear the frequency, and I think Anna, Shevon, and I do this like when we speak, we really are speaking from love, and so like when there's that sound, right? And then just to share like, yeah, this is what we're wearing, this is what we're doing, this is what we look like. And remember, you can check us out on YouTube as well, and pretty soon on our podcast. That's exciting. And that came into manifestation, right? Right.
Mhm. Speaking of manifesting, it was just the new moon, and Candice Somé, who will actually be one of our guests, she already accepted our invitation. She told me that for the new moon, it is a very good time to set your intentions. And what she typically does is she puts a message out into the universe that if the universe could kind of presence herself in dreams and like give her messages during the new moon. And then once the new moon is starting to turn into a crescent, that's when you set your intentions after receiving those messages. So the moon is in a crescent right now if you want to set those intentions.
Absolutely. What are some of your intentions?
2023 has to be better than 2022. It just has to be because this was probably the worst year I've had in a very long time. Just dealing with fucking excuse me. I'm gonna have to tell Gio about that. We're at minute.
I got excited about the podcast.
I know. We're like at 47. Okay. Yeah, it's just dealing with disrespect. And I'm just in a space where it is intolerable now, no matter who it comes from, whether it's people I work with, whether it's people out in the, just on the streets, family members, like it's just, I'm done with it.
Amen. Amen.
And I'm ready to manifest being treated with love. And to put that love back out as much as I can.
Love that. That's so beautiful. That's so powerful. That's so powerful. And just, it shows, right? Just the introspective work that you've done and like the clarity. I think that you're really getting to the tea of it, right? It's like, well, this is what I don't want, and this is what I want. And it sounds like, yeah, more people are going to come into your life that are going to show that back to you.
Yeah, hope so.
Yes, 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 absolutely. I
How
love
about
that.
Your intentions?
Gosh, into it, like intentions. I've been having a hard time with this one. Usually every year I'm pretty like, oh, this is what I want, this is what I want. And I don't know, yeah, I think this was definitely one of a very, very, very challenging year. It continues to be challenging. I'm like, really, to the last day? But I'm like, all right, let's write it out. Let's understand what the message is. And I think I know for a fact, one of the intentions is I went back to a lot of my goals and like, the ones that I accomplished, ones that I didn't. And every year it's like, I'm going to really focus on my health. Like in a way that I have never done it before. I've done it before with diets. I've done it before with like, rigorous exercise or even diet and exercise. But this year it's like, no, like I want to be the kind of person that goes somewhere and like chooses healthier options, that looks for the nutrition, that is seeking out, nourishment. And I think that's a different mindset. I've never had this mindset. And I think it comes with I'm still recovering from the burnout that I experienced these past couple of years, the heartbreak of having to like really like eject myself, and the seeing how like just seeing my family suffer so much from like health wise, but also like emotionally, like all these things that have been just happening. And I'm like, I don't want to repeat these cycles, because if I want to have, when we have a child, or not, like it doesn't, whatever is. um but I want to nourish my body in a whole different way,
Mhm.
and I'm learning more about that. And I'm just observing myself, and I think in the observation, everyone who's listening and watching, like I can, this is familia, I'll share with y'all, like I'm disappointed, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm like really holding this disappointment and being like, and self-forgiveness has been a big theme these past 2 weeks, so it's like learning to forgive myself, and like really do it, like not just okay, I forgive myself, no, like really bring the energy of forgiveness inward, and like go all the way back to moments where I'll think about shame, times that I feel so shameful or embarrassed, and they'll just pop up. Like I'll just be doing nothing else, and boom, hey, let's be embarrassed right now and think about that one time you really messed up. I'm like, okay. And before I would try to just like, oh God, I don't want to think about it, and now it's like, okay, no, let me sit with that. Let me really sit with that. Okay, yeah, I did that. And I'm going to mindfully sit with it and talk to it and say, I forgive myself for that. I really like I've already learned my lesson. I'm why am I doing this to myself? Right? Like there's nothing I can do about it other than like make sure I do my best to not do that again. And I've proved it to myself that I haven't done it. And the times that I want to do it, I've like been able to pause. And so I'm like acknowledging the growth, right? So it's not easy. Oh gosh, it's not easy. So I think my intention really is like nourishing myself at a much more profound way, and like not having things get in the way of that, which is hard. Like I think as mujeres, like that, and just general, like I don't want to just say like just as women, like in general, like all of us, like we've been predisposed to like not do this, right? Like don't, everybody else first. And so for me right now, I'm like, I want to really nourish all of it, all my cells, my tissues, my muscles, like my thoughts. I want to nourish it to a whole different way. None, I don't think anyone ever in my lineage, and I don't know, but as far as I know, we've never done that. And so I think I'm about to embark on something completely different.
That's
Yeah.
really strong and very powerful. And I think this is a theme that has come up several times during our show around how come it's so easy for us to give grace to others and forgiveness to others, but we can't do that for ourselves. And I think part of the reason stems from what Shevon and I talked about, that show that I think you were not on a couple weeks ago, is
Mhm.
like I think it is specifically mujeres and women, that where it's even worse for us because we get so many conflicting messages about what's acceptable for us to be and what's not acceptable for us to be. So
Yeah.
we're constantly like second guessing ourselves, doubting ourselves, and when we mess up, being extra hard on ourselves because you know society wants us to work as if we don't have kids. Those of us who are mothers, and then those of us who are stay-at-home moms, it's like, oh, well, why aren't you out there working? But then when you're out there working, they're like, why aren't you with your kids? You
Yeah.
know, it's like you're darned if you do, you're darned if you don't. And
Totally.
like you're being too sexy or you're not being sexy enough, or it's like there's always some other thing that we feel like society wants us to be other than what we are. And we
Yeah.
have to realize that we are a blessing as we are, and that we don't have to fit anyone's molds. We don't have to fit any expectations other than those that we have of ourselves, because it's inspired from dreams and who we want to be. Y que todos los demás se vayan a la, ya sabes dónde.
En mi pueblo we say, se pueden ir a Pilfor. Which is, I remember I was like, abuelita, what does Pilfor mean? And she's like, ala. And then she said, the bad word. It's like,
The CH word.
yeah. So yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. That's so powerful. That is so powerful. And it's a testament. Just yesterday we went to a beautiful birthday gathering with a friend, and she was reclaiming her birthday. And I love that. I felt so powerful. I just saw her, like I saw her light, and I got really emotional about it because like I know her, but I don't know her that well.
Mhm.
And I was just sitting there and just watching her, and she was free. And I don't want to share too much about like her story, but she had been going through a really, really rough year starting last year. So this was her reclaiming her birthday and reclaiming her joy. And so she hired a band, and it was like it was a beautiful gathering. Even the weather was like in her favor. It was nighttime and it wasn't that cold, and I was just watching her glow, and I just felt immensely happy, like just so happy because she was free, she was in her element. And I know that the person that had been taking her light was doing that, right? It's like, oh, you're not this, or you're not this, you're not this, it's like you're not good enough, you're not that. And I just saw her free, and it brought me, like, even right now I'm tearing up, just like, just see that, and just like I want that for all of us.
That's why I'm telling you, I want you to let me spoil you for your birthday.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. It's just like it's so frustrating to have those messages all the time, and then like lose yourself, and then like finding yourself is so beautiful. And I think that's where I can say, like, I love this theme so much because it's about that, like, it's in places like when you are in the darkest, when you are in like the shadows, like there's joy there, like there is something that's going to launch you back. And you don't have to go find it, like she found it in her family and in music and in food.
Yeah.
Like you sometimes you're like, well, I have to go, do this, and I have to hire a coach, and I have to, like, no, my love, no, my love, like it's in you already, and I heard the message this morning from a podcast. There's this psychologist that I absolutely love. His name is Gabor Mate, and he wrote a book on, when when you don't say no, the body says it for you, right? So the
Mhm.
power of like no. And he did a ton of research. He's been in this, and he's very like open and vulnerable about his own story, and how he's learned to forgive himself, and he was a workaholic, and just a beautiful story, and how he's like really bringing that information forward. And how like the being nice, a lot of his patients, he's like, I just have a lot of patients that were like extremely nice, and they're suffering with a lot of autoimmune disease because of the suppression. And he talks a lot about the authenticity and the like what is that's like, it's not, there's no normality, like that makes us sick. And so I think that message was really came down to like, your authentic self is never lost. You don't have to go find it, it's like you just have to just sit with yourself and just like ask for that inner self, that authenticity to just come forward and let it be safe, and only you can do that because the world isn't going to make it safe. That unfortunately we just don't have that. And it's a testament about what we're talking about here, like finding joy in unexpected places is within ourselves. Like, how powerful is that?
Yeah, I was going to say that St. Anthony prayer card maybe for you was not just about you finding that specific thing that you were looking for, but maybe it was you finding your authentic self. And, the other saint that I know is good for that too is San Judas Tadeo. That's the one that my mom always tells me to pray to as well. And it's important to have that reminder, right? That we don't go anywhere. We're still here, no nos fuimos a ningún lado, but sometimes you do have to peel back the layers of the onion and remember that you are good and worthy and perfect just as you are. You don't have to go get a coach or do XYZ thing. I love that, what you said, no, my love, you are already there. You are the gift.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go buy myself one of your where did you get that sweater?
I was waiting for you to ask. So let me do station identification and then I'll tell you. KZAA 96.5 is who you're listening to, and this is Ali Cortes and Ana Rosa Centino with Que Madre and Bienestar CCC. And I bought this illustrious, ugly Christmas sweater with a big gold bow at Big Lots because, I only do high fashion.
Yes, that was awesome. No, that is not.
Are you gonna ask me about my earrings too?
Yes.
I did not get them off my tree. I got them at CVS.
Nice. Go CVS. CVS needs to sponsor this episode. We are just raving about CVS. I love it. No, that sweater is amazing. I want one. I'm gonna have to go to Big Lots, and yes, CVS, thank you for coming through. Those earrings are like gorgeous. And I love that because it's like all of a sudden we're supposed to shut down, like the spirit of like the holiday season. So I love that you're like, no. That reminds me, there was one year with my family, we kept the tree up to like, I think early March.
I like it. I approve.
Yes.
I feel like we should start a new tradition where we kind of just switch over, where we keep the tree up, but we change the ornaments. For like Valentine's Day, we change the spheres for hearts or something.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, because I have such a hard time, with the trees, right? And I'm like, oh, the trees, we're using so many trees. And then it's like, oh, how nice to have a tree. It's like I have so many mixed feelings about it. But that would definitely just make it, it's like, hey, it's here. We have, let's change it up to Valentine's Day and just, or whatever, like honor it, however you want to honor it, this beautiful, source of energy that's bringing joy.
The trees are our relatives too.
Yes. All right, loves. Well, thank you so much. This has been an awesome episode. And thank you, Ana, just for your presence, for your beauty, for thanking your beautiful mama as well. And all the ancestors that made you happen. Like super grateful to be here and just reflecting that this is our last episode for the year. And this was just a beautiful theme. Thank you for bringing this forward. I love it.
I love you.
Alrighty. So any last words on this theme as we close our episode, sadly?
You are the joy.
Oh, I love that. I'll double up on that one. Yes, you are the joy. You are the source. Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor to be with you this, entire year with you all on Que Madre on KZAA 96.5 FM LP with the incredible, amazing goddess Ana Rosa, which I love that name, and Shevon Hoover from Warrior Mother, and in partnership with Bienestar CCC. It's been an amazing journey to be learning and unlearning and rediscovering, coming back to what you said, Ana, we are the joy.
Yes, and you can check us out on YouTube, and KZAA relaunched our website. So you can find some episodes on there too. And I know the Bienestar CCC website is also going to have some of our episodes as well.
All right, team. Take care. See you next year.